A family carrying the weight of the past. Claire Parker was a 35-year-old woman with light brown hair that was beginning to show signs of premature aging. Her gray-green eyes, which once shone with dreams and hope, now reflected the exhaustion of a life full of responsibilities. She had moved to the countryside with her 7-year-old son, Noah, hoping to escape the painful memories that had haunted her life since the tragic death of her husband, Thomas, in a car accident. Claire and Thomas had always had a loving relationship, but they carried the weight of unresolved arguments, especially about the family's future and Noah's safety. Thomas's death left them with unfinished business, and Claire felt she had never had the chance to properly say goodbye. She hoped that moving to the isolated house in the countryside would offer a fresh start, far from the emotional ghosts that tormented her. However, she didn't know that this house held even darker secrets. Noah, despite his young age, had always been an introspective and sensitive child. His father's death had deeply affected him, and Claire noticed it in his silent behaviors. He often withdrew, lost in thought or playing alone. Although Noah didn't talk much about his feelings, Claire knew he was as hurt as she was. The house they bought, an old stone structure, stood imposingly at the edge of a hill, surrounded by dense forest. Its interior was spacious, but every step Claire took, the wooden floorboards creaked as if they held the secrets of past lives. It was the kind of house that could easily be in a ghost story, with a sinister attic that Noah somehow always seemed drawn to. Claire knew that moving to that house would be the solution to her pain, but she couldn't shake the feeling that something there wasn't right. Noah seemed fascinated by the new house, especially the attic, which he explored whenever he had the chance. However, what Claire didn't know was that the house held more than just history. It was the stage of an ancient tragedy, and the ghosts of the past still wandered its halls. In the first days after the move, everything seemed normal. Claire and Noah explored the house together, cleaning the dusty rooms and rearranging the furniture. Although the house was old and full of ancient objects, Claire tried to give Noah a sense of adventure, as if they were discovering a forgotten treasure. One afternoon, while Claire was organizing the living room, Noah appeared at the door, his eyes shining with curiosity. "Mom, I found a secret room in the attic." "You have to see it, a secret room in the attic? That sounds scary. We'll see it later, okay?" Noah nodded, but Claire noticed he was restless. That night, as she was putting Noah to bed, he mentioned a name she had never heard before. "Mom, Lila said the attic room was hers." Claire froze for a moment, feeling a chill run down her spine. She tried to smile, though her mind was full of questions. "Lila? Who's Lila?" "Noah." Noah looked up at the ceiling as if listening to something Claire couldn't hear. "She told me she used to live here before us." Claire felt fear grow in her chest. Trying to rationalize Noah's behavior, she decided to ignore it, at least for the moment, thinking it was just a fertile imagination. The next day, Claire decided to finally explore the attic that Noah kept talking about. As she climbed the stairs, a sense of unease took over her. The air felt colder. and the shadows on the walls seemed to move strangely, as if they were alive. Opening the attic door, she found a room covered in dust, filled with old toys, broken furniture, and a small bed tucked into one corner. Claire scanned the room, and in a chest in the middle, she found something that made her stop. A porcelain doll with a cracked face, its eyes fixed on her. She carefully picked up the doll, feeling a chill. When she took one of the letters, she began reading about the tragedy that had occurred in that house decades ago. A family had lived there, and a young girl named Lila had died under mysterious circumstances. The letters were from Emily, Lila's sister, describing how the girl's spirit seemed to still be present, haunting the house and anyone who dared live there. Claire quickly put the letters away and rushed down from the attic, her heart pounding. What was Noah seeing? Could Lila be real, or was it just a bizarre coincidence? But she couldn't shake the feeling of danger that now hung over the house. After finding the letters and the doll in the attic, Claire tried to ignore the unease. But it became impossible when Noah started talking about Lila more frequently. Every time he mentioned her name, the air around the house seemed to grow denser, heavier. Noah, who had always been a quiet child, now spent hours in the attic, whispering as if he had company. One night, while Claire was finishing up organizing the kitchen, she heard Noah laughing upstairs. It was loud laughter, as if he were playing with someone. She rushed upstairs and found Noah sitting on the floor in front of the attic door. He was smiling, rocking back and forth as if telling a joke. "Noah, what are you doing here?" Noah looked at her and pointed to the attic door. "Lila said she wants to play with you too." Claire felt the blood freeze in her veins. Trying to stay calm, she knelt beside Noah and placed her hands on his shoulders. "Lila isn't real, my love. It's just your imagination. Let's go downstairs and play in the living room, okay?" Noah shook his head stubbornly. "She said she lives here, Mom. She's always been here. Why don't you believe her?" Claire, already struggling with panic, picked Noah up and carried him to his room, closing the door. "Let's sleep. It's getting late." But that night was different. Claire couldn't sleep. The name Lila echoed in her mind, mixed with the memories of the old letters and the doll she had found in the attic. She didn't know what was happening, but something told her that Noah was involved in something far bigger than just a simple game. Determined to solve the mystery, Claire returned to the attic the next day, while Noah was busy drawing in the living room. She knew she needed to understand what was going on, even if it meant confronting something she couldn't rationally explain. As she climbed the stairs, the atmosphere felt even heavier. Claire went straight to the chest where she had found the letters and began looking for more. In one of the letters, Emily wrote about how Lila had changed after falling ill. Lila used to be sweet and cheerful, but after she got sick, she became different. She didn't seem like my sister anymore. It was as if something dark had taken over her. After she died, things got worse. The chest was the only thing that brought us peace. The words "the chest was the only thing that brought us peace" echoed in Claire's mind. She bent down to examine the chest again. This time, she noticed something she had missed before. Strange marks on the sides, as if someone had tried to force it open. The chest had been locked for a long time, but now it seemed like something was trying to get out. As Claire processed what she had read, she heard a whisper. It wasn't her imagination. Someone was speaking in the attic. "Why did you free me?" Claire turned quickly, her heart racing, but no one was there. The attic was empty, except for the shadows that seemed to move in the corners. "Who's there?" Silence followed, but Claire knew she wasn't alone. Lila was there, somewhere, watching. Claire felt the weight of fear grow inside her, but something stronger began to rise. A desperate need to protect Noah. Rushing out of the attic, Claire ran to Noah's room, finding him lying in bed, but with his eyes wide open, staring at the ceiling. He was murmuring something she couldn't understand, as if in a trance. Lila said, "You shouldn't have touched her things." Claire felt tears stream down her face. "I won't let anything happen to you, Noah, I promise." But deep down, Claire knew Lila was there, and the real battle had just begun. That night, Claire could no longer ignore the signs. Lila was taking control of the house, and Noah was increasingly under her influence. Noah's behavior changed drastically in the following days. He was no longer the sweet child he had been. Now he spent hours in silence, talking to himself or watching the attic, as if waiting for something. "She never leave you, Mom. You're stuck with me now." The house began to react to Lila's presence. The lights flickered, furniture creaked, and doors slammed shut on their own. What had once been just discomfort had turned into a physical manifestation of Lila's spirit. Claire was on the verge of despair, feeling like she was losing control of her own reality. Every step she took was a reminder that Lila was there, always present, always watching. Determined to end this, Claire returned to the attic once more, but this time she was set on locking Lila back in the chest. She grabbed the rusty lock that had been kept beside the chest and, with trembling hands, began to seal it. "You can't lock me away again. I belong to this house. I belong to him." But Claire didn't hesitate. With a loud click, the chest shut. The house fell into heavy silence. Claire collapsed on the floor, exhausted, tears streaming down her face. Noah, who had been standing at the attic door, seemed to return to normal. "Mom, what happened?" Claire looked at her son, relief mixed with doubt. She wanted to believe it was over, that Lila had finally been contained, but deep down, she knew something was still wrong. For the first time in weeks, the house was quiet. Claire sat on the attic floor, staring at the locked chest, trying to process what had just happened. She wanted to believe that Lila's presence had been contained. The whispers, the moving shadows, and Noah's strange behavior seemed to have stopped, but the fear remained. Noah went back to his normal behavior, or at least it seemed like it. He played in the garden and drew like before, but something in his gaze had changed. It was as if a part of him was still connected to Lila. At dinner that night, Noah didn't mention Lila, but the atmosphere between him and Claire was heavy, as if they were both avoiding talking about what had happened. As she set the table, Claire noticed that the silence in the house was disturbing. She missed the daily noises, but the complete absence of sound made her heart beat faster. That night, when Noah was already in bed, Claire heard something coming from upstairs, a creak, as if someone was walking in the attic. Trying to calm her thoughts, she decided she wouldn't go up to the attic again. For Claire, the attic was now sealed, both physically and emotionally. But despite her determination, Claire woke in the middle of the night with a strange feeling of being watched. She opened her eyes slowly and saw Noah standing at the door of her room with the same strangely calm expression he had when he mentioned Lila for the first time. "Noah, what's wrong?" Noah didn't answer immediately. He just stood there as if listening to something she couldn't hear. She said, "You can't keep her locked away forever, Mom." Claire felt her heart sink in her chest. She knew it wasn't Noah speaking. "Noah, go back to bed. It's late, my love." But before Noah could move, a soft laugh filled the room, as if it came from every corner of the house at once. Claire froze, feeling a cold presence in the room. "You think it's over?" Lila's presence, which Claire thought had been contained, was back this time. It was stronger, more intense. The lights began to flicker, and the whole house seemed to breathe with a life of its own. Noah, with empty eyes, stood in the doorway while Lila's laughter echoed. Claire knew she had to do something. She couldn't continue living under Lila's control, and Noah was slipping away to the dark spirit. "Noah, listen to me. You need to fight this. Lila is not your friend." Noah finally blinked, as if waking up for a moment, but his expression soon returned to being distant. Lila was manipulating Noah, using him for her revenge. "He's mine now. You've lost him just like all the others." Claire couldn't let this happen. With a surge of determination, she ran to the attic, feeling the weight of the shadows at her heels. The locked chest, which had once given her a false sense of security, now seemed ineffective. She knew she would have to confront Lila once and for all, but she didn't know how. When Claire entered the attic, she was immediately engulfed by an oppressive darkness. The windows were covered with a thick layer of dust, and the air was dense, almost unbreathable. In the center of the room, the porcelain doll was sitting, as if waiting for her. "You open the door for me. Now I will take him." Claire picked up the doll with trembling hands and, in that moment, felt a presence behind her. When she turned around, she saw Noah, but his expression wasn't his. His eyes were cold, distant, as if there was nothing left of Noah inside. "You can't beat her, Mom. She's already here." Claire realized that the chest alone wouldn't be enough to trap Lila. She needed to break Lila's connection with Noah. "Lila, you don't belong here anymore. I'm sorry for what happened to you, but you need to let my son go." For a moment, Lila's laughter stopped. The room fell silent, and Claire almost believed it had worked. But then the shadows around her began to stir, and a figure took shape in the corner of the attic. Lila, or what remained of her, was standing, distorted and terrifying. "You think words can stop me?" They said that too. They all said it, and they all failed. Claire, desperate, looked at Noah, who was still standing motionless. She knew she didn't have much time. With one final cry of determination, Claire broke the doll in her hands, believing it could destroy Lila's connection to this world. The sound of the shattering echoed through the attic, and for a brief moment, silence returned. Noah collapsed to the floor, weak, while Lila's figure began to dissipate like smoke. Time passed, and the house finally seemed to be at peace. Noah returned to being the boy he was before, though quieter, more introspective. He didn't mention Lila, and Claire avoided talking about what had happened. However, every night, when Claire put Noah to bed, she felt the same chill she had felt at the beginning. The house was silent, but there was something in the air that never completely disappeared. One night, as Noah slept, Claire looked at the attic door for the last time. The chest was still locked, the doll destroyed, but deep in her mind, the doubt still haunted her. What if Lila was still there? What if somehow she was just waiting for the right moment to return? Claire turned off the bedroom light and left, knowing that despite the silence, something was always watching her in the dark.